Our meteorologist Robert Spetta. Let's talk about the tropics out here. We got a few areas we're, of course, watching, but all eyes are on Erin out here in the central Atlantic. And where exactly is this going to be going over the next few days? Now, here's a look at the official track from the National Hurricane Center. They still expect this to become a major hurricane as it moves off towards the west into an area favorable for increasing intensification, passing north of Puerto Rico, but close enough where some of those out of rain bands and rip currents and surf is definitely going to be impacting some of those areas here. Now, the big question is that extended forecast. When's it going to churn, and how close is it going to get to the East Coast? And let's talk about that in just a second. But first, let's talk about where it is right now. And you can see it actually, after yesterday, a lot of dry air filtered into this. Saharan dust coming off of the East Coast, or excuse me, the West Coast of Africa, that is, was getting into it. That is starting to back off a bit. Plus, it is continuing to move into an area that is, well, more favorable, not only with less dry air, but also warmer sea surface temperatures. And especially once it gets north of Puerto Rico here and closer to the Bahamas, it starts to move into these areas that are about 80 to 90 degrees, which just absolutely fuel for the fire for intensification. So we all agree that this is going to intensify and likely become our first major hurricane of 2025. Where's it going to go after that? Well, all the guidance pretty much is coming together. Even the ensembles, the little individual members within the models are all showing this staying offshore, which is great news. That confidence is continuing to increase. That is, excuse me, that this is going to recurve and stay out. But unfortunately for our friends in Bermuda, they're probably going to be looking at a close call or maybe a direct impact from a hurricane out here as that kicks off towards the north. For the east coast of the United States, including the first coast, it's going to be all about those waves. Now, let's say the model consensus points us straight towards Bermuda, but at that point, you're going to have a major hurricane, a couple hundred miles offshore. There is going to be, I think, and this is always my worry in this type of setup, a sense that jumping into the water, you got some big surfers are going to want to get at it, is going to be just fine. But the reality is you're going to have some pretty dangerous rip currents kicking up out there, all up and down the East Coast, especially since we're still in August. We're still in summer vacation for a lot of areas. And when you see a lot of people out there heading to the water who may not know the signs of rip currents, not used to it, it creates some dangerous conditions. And time again, it's these misleading type setups where you have this big, powerful swell coming on shore, but you don't have rain, you don't have thunderstorms. That always kind of worries me in this type of setup. So something definitely want to continue to watch out for. And this won't really start to pick up until about Sunday and really starting to peak by Monday, Tuesday over towards Wednesday. Why the turn towards the north? Well, we have a little break in the subtropical ridge. The Bermuda High looks like it is going to eventually weaken, kind of relax towards the east. And we have a high pressure ridge over the southeast that is going to kind of cause this to churn off towards the north there. Think of tropical systems like water wanting to run downhill. It's always going to go for the path of least resistance in the lower elevation. If you got a high and a high, well, the low, the valley in the middle is where it's going to want to go. Meteorology 101. Follow the overall background flow. You can see some of the guidance there, some of the guidance with the GFS and the European, all expecting us to turn towards the north. I guess one of the bigger questions, if we see any landfall, could be out towards the northeast or maybe out towards parts of the Canadian Maritimes as it kicks off in that direction. But for Florida, at least you are going to be kind of getting a break from direct impacts based on everything we're seeing right now. If this decided to head due west, it would be a bust of untold proportions, just based on all the guidance and everything agreeing that Bermuda High is going to weaken and allow this to kick off towards the north. Especially here in 2025, the models are just absolutely superb, so I wouldn't worry. This is my biggest concern still, is the rip current risk. So make sure if you're heading out there in the water, I would highly suggest against it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Just would not be a smart thing to do. I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta. Check out Hurricane Central at firstcoastnews.com. All these graphics I'm using here, most of them are posted there, so you can forecast yourself. And on top of that, we're going to be streaming live at 11 and 8 o'clock, talking tropics with a bunch of meteorologists from all up and down the East Coast. So, as always, keeping you informed, I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta.